Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to play with these glitter pens that have become so famous. Everybody's doing them. I actually swore I wasn't going to do them, and here I am. So I'm using the Paper Mate Inkjoy gel pens. Now these are really good to use because of where they open and they're refillable. So if you're going to be making pens that you're going to be charging somebody 10 bucks for, you're definitely going to want to make sure that they're refillable. The gel point, or excuse me, the Inkjoy ballpoint pens are not refillable, so be sure you're getting the gel ones. So you're just going to take and unscrew the tip off of it and remove the inside of it, tap it, and the bottom little click piece will fall right out. So I'm using a little small pair of pliers that I use to make keychains, and I'm just grabbing that and twisting it around to pull it off. It's super easy to get off. And I'm sure there's a lot of different ways that everybody's doing these, but this is how I do it. So after I get that off, there's a little bit of sharp plastic still on there. So I use cuticle cutters to remove that. There's also like a little tiny little plastic dot that pokes out where the, I don't know, little clip thing rests on it. And I trim that off too. So I'm just using that cuticle cutter to get that as smooth as I can possibly get it. Then I'm going to use this nail file that I have with the coarser side to just really sand down that little nubbed area there. And then I'm using my 400 grit sanding block thing, pad, whatever you want to call it, to sand the rest of the cup. Now it is like a spongy, rubbery type material, but I mean, it does fine. I haven't had any issues with it at all. So I'm just sanding it down. Now you're just going to wipe it down. You can use a microfiber cloth. You can wet it, rinse it off, use a paper towel. Just wipe it down really good, make sure it's dry. So I base painted with spray paint. I let it off gas since I use Crystal Lac products for 24 hours. But if you use Crystal Lac products like the Flippin' Awesome paint, then you can just go ahead and move forward after 4 hours. So I'm taking my pencil and I'm putting it into some coconut oil. That way, when I slide that pen over top of it, that casing, it's not going to get stuck on there, and it's going to be easy to remove later, and you'll see at the end of this video how much easier it is to put that pen back together. So here I'm showing you that I spray painted that one. So I have that one ready to go. That way I could use it for this video. I'm going to use glitter glue to put glue all over that casing. And I'm just going to do like a beach pen for this tutorial. Shake up your glitter glue really well. And then I'm just going to brush it all over that pen casing. I just spray painted the whole thing gold. I mean, you could do it in sections of different colors if you want, but it works fine to do the whole thing in gold for this. You could probably also use that spicy mustard Flippin' Awesome paint and use that as your base too, whatever you want to do. So I'm using Peachy Olive glitter, as always, just about. I mean, very few of my glitters are not. I'm using Cleopatra and Seaside, Lost for Words, and Fuzzy Navel is what I used for this one. So here you see me just glittering the sections and putting the extra glitter back into the jar. After I put glitter on there, I use my scissors to tap on that pencil to get the excess glitter off. So you're going to let that dry for 2 hours. So now I'm just going to take a brush and lightly brush off the extra glitter that's not stuck down really well. You just want to get the extra off. That way when you put your clear coat stuff on there, it's not going to move around. So now I've got that brushed off. It looks like I have poop in that cup, but I swear it's a rock. My kids have rock collections, and I needed something heavy so it wouldn't tip off. or tip over, so I put a rock in it. It's a geode. So now that I've brushed off the excess, I'm going to take some more of that glitter glue and I'm going to brush it all over that pin casing because I'm going to do a second layer of glitter. I find that little medicine cups work really well to pour what I want in there. It doesn't dry really fast in that medicine cup. So, I mean, I've put some in a cup, had some left over, and hours go by and it's still good for me to go back and use it. So I'm just brushing that all over that pin casing so that I can re-glitter to get a really good coverage. That cup, what I did was I put that rock in it and then I put tape over the top of it and cut some slits in it so that I could put the pencils down in there and use it for like a stand. Whatever works. I'm cheap. I see all these things going around that people are selling for you to put your pencil pin casing things on. I'm just like, I'll find something, make it work for free, cheap. So I'm re-glittering. I personally think that the beach pens are the prettiest ones I've seen. Those and the pencil ones, and that's the two that I'm going to offer on my page, and I'm going to upload them to my Etsy as well. So I'm letting that dry for 2 hours. Now, here's the thing. I love Crystal products. These things are tedious to make, and they will take layer upon layer upon layer. So I'm going to use a shortcut. For the pencils, I don't do this for my cups. I only use Crystal clear coats. But for the pencils, I'm going to brush off that excess to make sure there's nothing moving around on it. And then I'm going to use UV resin. Not for the whole thing, but just to get it good and smooth, I'm going to use UV resin. So make sure you wear a glove. And that is a UV nail lamp there. I ordered one of those little tiny flashlight deals that are UV flashlights to use. I tried it out. It really didn't work that great. So that's the resin. But the flashlight I got was like little bitty. I mean, this thing was like barely 2 inches long. So obviously I should have read the product information before ordering that one. So I'm putting my glove on. Now I'm going to put some of that UV resin on there. Also, you don't want to breathe in fumes, so wear like a sanding mask while you're doing this. So I'm using that glove to just rub that resin all over that pencil or pen, casing, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to move that resin out of the way here in a minute too. Make sure you get good coverage on there. It's thick, so it's not going to drip, but you want to make sure that you put it on there smoothly. So I turned it on to 99 seconds. That's a 78 watt nail light. I'm also going to move that UV resin out of the way because if even a little bit of that UV light shines on that bottle, it can harden that stuff. And it happens really quickly. Ask me how I know. So for this, I'm just holding that pencil underneath there and I'm turning it. And I'm doing 99 seconds and I'm turning it the whole time it's under there. So now I'm going to check it and see how it feels. You can see the shadow of my hand. There you go. And it's tacky. It feels tacky. Like it's not sticky. The stuff isn't coming off, but it feels kind of tacky. I'm going to go ahead and put another layer of the UV resin on there because I really want to get that pencil smooth. I keep calling it a pencil because it's stuck on a pencil, but you know what I mean. I don't want to spend like days layering these things with Crystal, so I'm just going to do it this way because it's quicker. Okay, so I'm doing it again for 99 seconds. And your light might have different time increments. That's the highest one on mine, so I use that one. And I noticed that it still felt a little bit tacky, so I did 60 more seconds. And you know, what the heck, 99 more seconds just to make sure that it's good and done. So I've done several of these using this lamp, and I've watched some other tutorials, and from what I have noticed and from what they have said, it still feels a little tacky. Like it's not coming off of the pen. You can't wipe it off, but it just has this little bit of a sticky feel. So I'm going to sand this, and I'm going to wipe it off really well so that there's no dust left behind on it. And then I'm going to use BT because I want BT for my final few layers, get it all nice and shiny and pretty. And also that BT will take away that tacky feel. It will not feel like that anymore after you've layered it with BT. And you can do as many BT layers as you want. I think I did like 3 on this one, and you just want to make sure you let it dry 4 hours in between each layer. So I could have start to finish used Crystal-Lac, and that's perfectly fine if you want to do it that way, but I just didn't want to spend days on these pens, and I wanted to be able to get them done quicker. So I tried it this way to see how I liked it, and I love the end result. They look great. They don't have any kind of issues. When I put them back together, they go together really well. So this is my tried and true way to do it, and you can use whatever way works for you. Now I'm going to do one more step before I finish my last few layers of BT on this pen. So I'm going to let it dry for 4 hours. And now I'm going to use Bombay ink and a straw. So I'm just taking my white Bombay ink and I'm just putting a couple drops on there because you want it to look like the white frothy waves. And I'm taking a straw and I'm blowing on that Bombay ink just to move it around to kind of make it look like frothy waves. I don't mix it with anything. I just put straight white Bombay ink on that pen and just start blowing it around with a pencil. There's really no right or wrong way to do this part. I mean, as little or as much as you want. It gives it such a really cool look. So there you can see it on there. Loving it. So you're going to let that dry for 4 hours. You could probably get away with 2, but just to be safe, 4 hours. So now I'm coming back and putting on my BT until it's as glassy as I want it. So for me, that was a couple more layers, 4 hours in between. When you're putting on the BT, you want to make sure you're putting on a really, really light coat of it. If it is drippy at all, it's going to pool around the bottom and you're going to have problems. The first couple of ones I tried that weren't on video, I put too much on. It pulled around the bottom. It didn't dry really well there. I tried to sand it. It looked goopy. It was awful. So just be sure that you're wiping over and over and over that casing to make sure that you don't have any kind of drippage at all. And your pen is pretty much smooth anyway after using the UV resin. So you're just building up a couple of layers on this for just to get that glassy look and to make sure it's not tacky anymore. So now I'm going to show you how I put it back together. So you'll see here I've just pulled it off of that pencil. The first thing that I'm going to do is make sure that that tip screws on easily like it's supposed to. So I want to make sure it goes all the way on, because if it doesn't, I'm going to need to dig around in there with one of my weeding tools to make sure I don't have any pieces of pencil or glue or anything stuck in there. You'll see there that that one went on really well, so that coconut oil on a pencil works wonderfully. So I'm going to go ahead and put the 2 pieces that go to the clicker in there, and then you just put them in the bottom, and when you push that piece in, it'll pop that clicker out of the bottom part like it's supposed to be. So now I'm just going to go ahead and screw that on. And you'll see that it works beautifully. I can click it and it opens and closes just like it's supposed to. I have absolutely no issues putting that pen back together. And there you have it. You can put words on there if you want to. I suggest if you're going to put any kind of vinyl on it that you do that and put UV resin over it before you do your Crystal-Lac BT layers, just because it's going to take less layers to cover it if you do. So hope you like this, hope it helped, and leave a comment with what you want to see next.